In ancient teachings of India, existence is shaped by three fundamental qualities of nature, known as the Gunas. Their names are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Each acts like a distinct note in the symphony of existence, influencing thought, emotion, and action. Among the three, Sattva is often revered as a gateway to clarity, serenity, and inner harmony. Exploring the predominance of Sattva, called Sattva Pradhanam, offers a pathway to cultivating a more fulfilling and balanced life. But how does this work exactly? When mystics first recognized these three forces, they realized that the mind, heart, and body oscillate among them like a pendulum. At times, we are creative, bright, and contemplative, immersed in a luminous calm, that is Sattva. Other times, we plunge into restless activity, ambition, or desire, a domain called Rajas. And occasionally, we sink into heaviness or lethargy, weighed down by fatigue, an energy known as Tamas. Rather than deeming them purely good or bad, the sages discovered that each has its place in the cosmic dance. Yet they also noted that placing Sattva at the helm promotes a life of well-being and inner transformation. If we listen carefully to these teachings, we hear about Sattva as the quality of clarity, lightness, and discernment. Picture a tranquil lake reflecting the sky with pristine detail, or a candle flame shining in a darkened room. These images capture Sattva's essence. In the mind, Sattva manifests as calmness, focus, genuine compassion, and a readiness to perceive subtle truths. One who is saturated with Sattva approaches life from a place of inner equilibrium, able to act in ways that uplift both themselves and others. Indeed, in many spiritual philosophies of India, Sattva is the silent ally that bestows insight and fosters lasting growth. In contrast, Rajas conjures images of ceaseless motion, a waterfall rushing over cliffs, a busy marketplace brimming with noise, or the flutter of wings in midday sun. Rajas is energy in action, a driving force that propels creativity, ambition, and desire. Without Rajas, we would never complete tasks or bring visions into reality. However, the same Rajas can trap us in restlessness or frustration if it overshadows Sattva. When Rajas dominates, we might become overly reactive, aggressive, or impatient. The mind jumps from one thought to another, and we cannot find the still center from which to act wisely. Rajas is essential, but it needs the calming hand of Sattva to channel it effectively. Tamas, meanwhile, is the quality of inertia, darkness, and disintegration. Imagine the dense stillness of midnight, or the heavy pull of sleep after a day of toil. Tamas can bring necessary rest and a chance to let old forms dissolve so new ones can arise. Yet if Tamas reigns unchecked, we risk sinking into depression or numbness. When Tamas captures the mind, clarity dims, motivation wanes, and negative habits can spiral. However, the wise do not condemn Tamas outright, as they understand it as part of nature's cycle of renewal. But they caution that Tamas, if allowed to linger, can suffocate our inner light. This trinity of gunas operates ceaselessly in every aspect of existence, from the food we eat to the thoughts we harbor. Even the seasons reflect different gunas. A hot summer day may evoke rajas, a silent winter evening resonates with tamas, while a crisp spring morning filled with birdsong invokes sattva. In the human psyche, we rarely remain in one guna for long. We shift, guided by environment, emotion, or even our companions. Our challenge is to become sensitive to these shifts, to notice when sattva, rajas, or tamas surfaces, and to orient our actions so that sattva remains at the forefront. Identifying these gunas within ourselves begins with mindful observation. A Sattvic mindset feels spacious, luminous, open to deeper reality. The breath is steady and the heart brims with empathy. Rajas fuels us with drive, yet it can also wear us thin if we don't pause. Tamas brings rest, but can devolve into stagnation if unchecked. Simply noticing whether we feel calm, restless, or heavy can help us discern which guna is at work. Then, we can adapt accordingly. If rajas is in full swing, it might be wise to take a few moments of stillness before forging ahead, lest we scatter our efforts. If tamas strongly manifests, perhaps we need either genuine rest or a gentle spark of movement to break inertia. The concept of sattva pradhanam, which is about savoring and effectively using sattva when it is predominant, requires weaving these gunas wisely. We might harness tamas for organizing and clearing what no longer serves, be it clutter in the home or outdated habits. Once the space is freed, sattva naturally rises, inspiring new ideas. Then rajas propels those ideas into tangible action. When the cycle is complete, tamas returns, but in a healthy mode, offering a time to rest, integrate, and let old energies depart. With sattva guiding the cycle, none of the gunas overpower the mind. Instead, each does its job in harmony, leading to greater balance. But how do we kindle sattva? One approach begins with nutrition. Many hold that fresh, light foods, like fruits, vegetables, and grains, enhance mental clarity. Another method is adopting daily routines that encourage simplicity and reflection, like rising early, perhaps engaging in a short meditation or quietly watching the dawn. Acts of kindness also nurture sattva, like giving time, resources, or a compassionate ear to a friend. In times of conflict, sattva instructs us to pause, breathe, and respond from a place of calm insight. Though these steps may seem countercultural in a world of constant demands, they guide us toward a luminous state that supports genuine well-being. Imagine a typical day. You awaken feeling heavy. Instead of plunging into frenetic tasks right away, you begin with a gentle stretch, a bit of quiet introspection. That alleviates tamas, allowing sattva to rise in the morning's hush. When your tasks call for effort, you use rajas deliberately, staying mindful not to race chaotically. Toward evening, tamas returns, urging you to wind down, to let mind and body rest. Encouraging tamas in a healthy way, by tidying your space or reflecting on the day, prevents it from slipping into mere lethargy. By day's end, you maintain a sattvic outlook that fosters peace and sets the stage for a restful night. Many aspirants of spiritual disciplines in the Hindu tradition note how quickly the mind can slip from sattva to rajas or tamas if we're not vigilant. Rituals, mantras, or meditative practices serve as anchors, reminding us to check which guna currently colors our perception. In the midst of a stressful situation, pausing to take a slow breath can pivot us from rajas-fueled tension back into a sattvic approach. If we feel ourselves sinking into gloom, sometimes a little physical movement or a recitation of calming mantras can dispel the tamas haze. Over time, these small self-corrections reinforce a habit of living from a clearer, more luminous state. Advaita Vedanta, focusing on the non-dual nature of reality, suggests that our true self remains untouched by these gunas. However, while embodied in the world, we must handle their interplay wisely. Tending towards sattva sets the stage for recognizing the deeper self. If the mind is too restless or dull, glimpses of that inner reality become obscured. Thus, striving for sattva is not an end in itself, but a means to an elevated perception that points beyond gunas altogether. Even so, daily life is more harmonious and fulfilling when sattva predominates. A teacher once offered a parable. He described 3 horses, one pure white, one fiery red, and one midnight black, each pulling the chariot of the mind. The white horse represents sattva, graceful and alert, steering with gentle poise. The red horse, Rajas, bursts with energy but can bolt wildly if unchecked. The black horse, Tamas, can stand immovable, refusing to budge unless guided firmly. The charioteer's task is to keep these horses in sync, letting the white horse lead, using the red horse's power sensibly, and nudging the black horse only when rest or reorganization is truly needed. In this allegory, the well-steered chariot glides smoothly along the road of life, unburdened by chaos or stagnation. Across the ages, countless individuals have remarked on the tangible effects of cultivating sattva. They report calmer relationships, improved clarity in decision-making, and an ease in letting go of grudges. Even health can improve as stress recedes and the body's rhythms stabilize. Prosperity, too, may flow more naturally, since a Sattvic mind notices opportunities without succumbing to frantic greed or inertia. The real treasure, however, lies in the quiet happiness that blossoms from deep contentment. One becomes more at home in any environment, feeling a stable core that neither mania nor gloom can easily unsettle. For those on an earnest spiritual path, such a lifestyle dovetails beautifully with the pursuit of self-realization. The more clarity we cultivate, the more easily we discern illusions that bind us. The more compassion we radiate, the more harmonious our interactions become, limiting the rifts and regrets that so often cloud the heart. And the more consistently we integrate tamas in a helpful manner, clearing away inner clutter, the less we remain entangled in destructive patterns. Step by step, we ascend toward a vantage point from which we see the interplay of gunas without being overwhelmed by them. There is an ancient saying that to hold a single candle in a dark room transforms that entire space. Similarly, one moment of sattva can illuminate a day. Even if frustration or sadness arises, the memory of that luminous moment stays with us, guiding us back whenever we stray. That is the subtle power of a mind that has tasted serenity. It cannot entirely forget that experience, nor can it dismiss its value. As such, our longing for sattva grows, fueling us to live in alignment with higher truths more consistently. Ultimately, sattva pradhanam is not about moral rigidity or ascetic withdrawal from life's richness. It is about understanding the architecture of consciousness and making wise choices that align us with peace and insight. As we cultivate sattva, we do not become soft or unassertive. Rather, we gain composure and discernment, qualities that enable decisive, effective action informed by compassion. We remain open to the cyclical interplay of rajas and tamas while ensuring that the luminous essence of sattva remains our guiding star.